Alastair Campbell, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Are you shocked by the depth of the material that's coming out, the shocking material that's evolving almost hour by hour?
If it's possible to be both shocked but also actually not surprised, then that's what I am. I'm shocked by the detail, but I'm not surprised that this is engulfing the Murdoch empire, because I did a series of interviews 2 years ago this week. And the reason I remember that I was at somebody's wedding, and it's the wedding anniversary this week, and that was when The Guardian first revealed the full extent of what they thought by then was this systematic criminal activity. And I did a series of interviews for television and radio, and I can remember saying that this now was just going to, until News International got to the bottom of this had the potential to really to rip them apart, because it was so blindingly obvious they'd been dishonest at various stages. And the truth is they've continued to be. And so, to the credit of The Guardian, who've just kept going, small number of parliamentarians who've just kept going, and finally I think now the dam has burst.
Is News International finished?
I think it's very hard to say that they're finished, but I think that they are hugely damaged by this. And it's really interesting how a newspaper group and a media group which trades in public opinion, which is brilliant at covering the misfortunes of others, is so inept at handling its own crisis. Every single step of this they mishandled. Every single step. I remember the other night when it was on the news, Murdoch flies in to resolve the crisis. And I remember saying to my partner that they're still playing the old game. The old game, Murdoch flies in, it's all going to get calmed down. Murdoch's flown in and things have been made worse.
You were part of that whole closeness to the Murdoch empire going right back to even when you're in opposition. Do you regret that?
I don't regret it, and I can explain it, because I think it's important people understand this, that I remember having a really interesting discussion with Paul Keating when we did go on that trip to Hayman Island, to Murdoch's conference, of all his editors were there. And I remember Paul Keating saying, one, he was giving us a little bit of advice about how to handle Murdoch. And I remember him saying, you've got to remember with Rupert, it's Rupert 1, 2, 3, the family 4, and everybody else a while later. And I can also remember him saying that if you're a progressive political party, as his was and as ours is, his still is, by the way, but when he was there is what I mean, that it's tough enough without the whole of the media against you. So you've got to try to get them in a better place. And historically, the Labour Party had always had a very, very biased media against us. So we were trying to level the playing field.
Well, Tony Blair didn't have a phone, so he was safe, but you did. Were you hacked?
Well, I've been shown the papers that relate to me from Operation Wheating, and it's certainly clear that my name is in there. The extent to which... you see, the problem with this police investigation, all they've got is this guy Glenn Mulcair's notes. What they haven't got, and what they haven't done actually, is gone out more broadly and just investigated the issue. Because the idea that Glenn Mulcair was the only one, forget it. So certainly I've been shown papers that suggest that I was one of his targets. The other thing that I've been shown, not by the police, but by somebody else who's been involved in this whole investigation, I have been shown invoices of another private detective, Jonathan Rees, who was involved in a murder trial, which actually show that I was being targeted in relation to him, not by the News of the World, but my own paper, my old paper that I used to work for, the Daily Mirror. And also I was shown the list of names of other people. And I mean, it is, you're talking hundreds of people.
So if your old paper was involved, the Sunday Times, the News of the World, was everyone involved in this?
Well, I don't know that what was happening with me for the Mirror was phone hacking. It might have been the suggestion to me that it was to do with financial details and also medical records. Now, I don't know that, so that's me just having hearsay from somebody who knows a bit about the background. What I do think is that this goes right across sections of the press. You see, what was interesting about the Gordon Brown allegations is that's taken it out from the News of the World into the Sun, which is one of the other papers in News International, and the Sunday Times, which is also News International, but it's also a broadsheet. And I think this idea that this was just the tabloids, forget it. This idea that it was just the News International, forget it. I mean, the public just has to ask themselves, why do newspapers hire private detectives? To do the things that the journalists can't do. Why can't the journalists do them? It's not because they're not skillful, it's not because they don't understand technology, it's because they literally can't do them.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Given the possible illegality of what's gone on with the Sunday Times and now the Sun, is it possible, given what's happened to the News of the World, that those two publications could now be shut down?
Well, again, this is what I mean about the ineptitude of the crisis management. I said in the Financial Times it's the most kamikaze crisis management I've seen, because the News of the World gets shut down, and the line is, from the editor downwards, none of us at the paper have done anything wrong. And that may well be true in terms of what we're talking about, phone hacking. So it was like a gesture, and it was trying, I think, just to communicate to the government, we're really taking this seriously now, so give us B Sky B. That was what that was about. But he set a precedent. So if it now transpires that actually there was rottenness at the heart of the Sun and the Sunday Times, is he going to shut them down as well? And I don't think they know the answer to that. I honestly think they're kind of making it up as they go along. And it's been extraordinary to me to see their constant confusion between strategy and tactics. The strategy, surely, his strategy's big objective is to get B Sky B. The strategy should have been, from the word go, him, not the police, not the politicians, him. Get to the bottom of this, find out what's gone on, deal with everybody who was involved, and make sure that they are then dealt with by the police.
Even if it was a member of his family?
Even if it was a member of his family or Rebecca Brooks or whoever it was. Because you've got to, I think the public, you see, newspapers, as I say, they trade in public opinion. They're meant to be in touch with people. And they're so out of touch. To see Rupert Murdoch come out the other night from his home and get asked what his priority was and point to Rebecca and say, this one, the public look at that and think, this guy's just lost touch. The priority surely ought to be to get to the bottom of what's gone on and then to make sure that it's properly dealt with. So to see that all ending, because he's, the guy's old now, in the way that it is, it's partly quite sad, but actually you kind of feel it's a comeuppance for years and years and years and years of what I think a lot of people would see as an abuse of power.